This episode is brought to you by Americas Rehab Campus. Get on the road to recovery with the best rehab in beautiful Arizona. Dial 1-833-272-7342. That's 1-833-ARC-REHAB.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to the Archer.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Arcast. My name is Buddha.
I'm Vance.
And we are here again today. It's a beautiful, beautiful afternoon. Fall is coming. The weather's beautiful out here. And I'm so grateful that we got my brother right here in the studio with us. It's a long time coming. We're going to introduce him here in a second, but this is not the first time that we've tried to get him in here. I think he was still dealing with a little bit of his struggle at the time. And, you know, he's looking amazing now. He's sober. He's got a huge smile on his face, and it's a blessing to have him in the studio with us. Ladies and gentlemen, get up out your seat and give a huge round of applause to our homeboy, Hector. What up, dog?
What's up?
How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah?
It's been amazing. I like what you're doing with this place, and, man, it's incredible.
Thank you, brother. It's a blessing to have you here, dude.
Blessing to be here, man, for sure.
It's good to see you again, too, brother, because you reminded me of when the last time we saw each other.
Yeah.
What was the name of that program again?
Water Walkers.
Water Walkers. I remember that. That's
right.
right.
Came and spoke.
Yep.
Yeah, man, you made an impact for sure that night, man.
Thanks, brother.
What a powerful story.
That was cool. Yeah, we had your homeboy in here. He was the first one that we had from the Water Walkers.
Danny Boy.
Yeah, Danny Boy was in here, man. Shout out to him if you're out there listening, brother. So, how's everything been going? You got this smile on your face, bro. It's crazy.
Bro, it's just like, man, you don't know where life is gonna take you. You know what I mean? And then when you finally find what your purpose is in life, you know what I mean? And you get there, and you're like, man, dude, like, who would ever thought?
Yeah.
Who would ever thought you'd be doing what you're doing? You know what I mean? Just a couple years ago, man. Like, if you would have told me that what I would be doing, what I'm doing now, I would be like, man, you're crazy. What are you smoking, man?
You're the one who's high. Man, that's, you know, I remember having this conversation, Vance, and I'll fill you in on it. So this was, I think, before COVID. It was during COVID, but he was here as a client, and we had a conversation outside. I think you had either left the IOP program or you had left the residential program.
Yeah. Right.
And I remember you inviting me to go meet up with your brothers, the Water Walkers.
Yeah.
I went over there, but I didn't hear from you for a while. You know, and I know that you had continued to, you know, go through the struggle or whatever. But the other day, my wife and I was looking through our YouTube subscriptions, and I subscribe to Zion City because sometimes when we're not able to make it to the church, we'll go on there and we'll listen to him, Pastor Whalen. Shout out to Pastor Whalen. And they had posted a video with this gentleman on here talking about, you know, him being in recovery and everything. And it just blew my mind. I told my wife, I said, yo, I'm saving this to my view later videos. Yeah. I said, my next goal is to get Hector in here because I need to hear his testimony.
Yeah, man.
So your testimony's on YouTube as well?
No, they're gonna put. You know what? I think it is actually. Yeah, I think it is.
Is it on there?
For the Zion, I think they're putting it on there too. I have to double check. I know it's on the Zion website.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if they're putting it on there or not, but I know they were talking about it.
You know, it really is a blessing, and I am so glad that the Lord pulled you from the fire, dog.
Man, for reals, man. I'm blessed, man. And you know, I always believed in God, man, and like, you know, and through my life, you know, I've been in and out of prison, and a lot of people think they find God in there, you know, because the first thing you do when you get locked up, you get in a bad position is you start to pray and you pick up a Bible, you know what I mean? And then sad to say, most people, they'll leave it at the door, leave it once they leave from there, you know, and it's because, you know, life comes with challenges and, you know, we are fighting a spiritual enemy out there that we can't see, you know what I'm saying? So it makes it hard and difficulty, but man, once you get a true relationship with God, man, and understand who and what he is, man, it's a game changer, man. It's life changing for sure.
Yep. Even my own son right now is facing up to 30 years in prison.
Yeah.
But you know what he said? He said, Dad, I'd rather be in prison because every time I leave, the devil's out there waiting for me.
Yeah, man, for real, man. And sad to say, you know, it's hard to talk about religions in this place because the last time I was here, like you said, COVID had just started and all that, and that all these rules and stuff, man, and you know, and I even here I was like always speaking at our meetings, and you know, people are always like, man, you speak with wisdom and all that. You know, I've been through a lot.
Yeah,
you have to keep the religion and stuff to a minimum in this place, you know, which is, I get it, you know what I'm saying? But like, man, like it's where the power's at, man, for sure.
Well, you know what? I honestly feel like things changed because, the Mike knows that we talk about faith on here, and
Yeah.
ain't nobody silencing us, bro. He lets
Yeah.
us be able to talk about it. And I mean, it's necessary, even if it's allowing somebody to find a higher power for the first
Yeah,
time, even if it's
exactly.
not Jesus right away, but that's how you that's how you plant that seed, by allowing somebody to kind of grow that faith, is to like, hey, bro, stop being so selfish all the time and look at something greater than yourself. You have to, you know what I mean? So COVID was a weird time.
Yeah.
COVID was a weird time,
Yeah, it was pretty hectic.
for everybody.
Mhm.
In fact, that's the reason why I call that COVID, the pandemic. I call it a plandemic.
Yeah,
That's of the
for
devil.
real. Yeah. Yeah.
No, for real, man. And
Pandemic.
it's ugly. So, I pray today, for anybody listening to this podcast, that your story is going to touch their spirit, touch those out there in need that need to hear it. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, Hector, every time I think of Hector, I think of Fast and the Furious, bro. I don't know why. but starting from the beginning, homie, where are you from? Are you from Tucson, Arizona?
Yeah. I was born here, but as a baby, I left to Memphis, Tennessee. I came back when I was I think I was 11 years old, man. I've been here ever since.
Man.
My father went out there, and he used to work for the airlines, but when he came back, he got real sick. He was diabetic, and so he passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
So I've been here, and life just came with a struggle and stuff ever since then.
Sorry for your loss. What year did you lose your dad?
1990.
In the 90s?
Yeah.
19. How old are you?
I'm 42 now.
42. Okay, so you had moved to Tennessee and you were there.
Yeah.
You came back when you were 11 years
11
old?
years old, yeah.
Okay, so up until that point, were you living with your father?
Yeah.
After 11 years old, when your father passed away, you moved down here to Tucson.
yeah.
And who are you living with at
My
this
mom.
point? With your mom.
Yeah.
Up until that point, when you had moved in with your mom, did you have a relationship with her? Were you guys close?
I did. I was closer to my dad, and now weird to say my relationship with her is better now, but I was real rebellious. So I'm actually, my character was like her. She had a temper, so did I, and we just clashed. We clashed a lot, and like I was just one of those type of people that I didn't like to be told what to do.
Yeah.
I was a kid that thought he was a grown up when I wasn't.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy the way you look back now and you think about, man, I can't believe I was really thinking like that and acting out like that. But at the same time, you understand. And as a kid going through those type of things, you know what I'm saying, you tend to have to grow up early, and start making decisions, you know what I'm saying, based on your environment.
What he's saying is biblical, because what scripture says. When I was a kid, I thought like a kid.
Yeah,
But when I
exactly.
became an adult, I put away my childish ways. So thanks for reminding me of my old self.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure, man.
You came over here at 11 years old. Did you have any siblings or anything growing up?
I had my little brother at the time, but he's 4 years younger than me. So he was like, 6, 7, I believe. Yeah, I had my little brother with me. And then later on, we ended up adopting 2 of my cousins from birth. And so I consider them my brothers too, since we had them
Yeah.
since they were babies too. So yeah.
Okay.
Just me and 3 other boys for sure.
And growing up, was there any addiction in your family from any of your parents? or
Drug
anything?
addiction, no. There was alcoholism coming from some of my uncles. My dad would drink. I can't say he was an alcoholic, and if he was, he didn't really show it. But I know he always went out on the weekends, and he would take off a lot out of town with his friends all the time, and they were big drinkers. And that was probably, I would have to say drug addiction was, just my generation, man. Well, actually, I take that back. One of my uncles was an addict, but that wasn't until later on.
Yeah.
Probably like the mid 90s or something.
And how were you in school, dude? Did you do sports and stuff like that?
Yeah, I was heavy into sports. Fortunately, the area that I grew up was on the south side here of Tucson, and gangs was really huge in the 90s. If people were around my age and they remember, it was just crazy.
Yeah,
that's
it
back
was.
when we had 6th Avenue back to back. It was
Yeah.
bumper to bumper all the way from Irvington to downtown. Then you had Speedway, you had 12th Avenue. And I just was getting in a lot of trouble, man. And I was running around with gangs and doing just dumb stuff. And I was always a smart kid, but because of my lack of interest in school and me ditching and stuff, my grades was getting poor. Then I started getting arrested. I was a big old fighter too. I was a peleonero back in that day. So I was always getting suspended from school. So my mom had issues keeping me in certain schools, and I'll go from one school to another, and I'll be getting kicked out, man. So
Oh man. Yeah, no, I get that completely. That was 42 years old. That means you were there with like the birth of like West Coast hip hop, and everyone's being influenced by the lowriders and the Cali life and the gangs.
Bro.
And I mean, yeah, it got really, really bad, bro. I mean, fools just be staring you down in the car. Like, that's pretty hectic time, man. So, you grew up like that, travieso, causing travesuras, getting kicked out of schools and stuff like that. Did you end up graduating from high school?
I graduated from high school, but I graduated from Catalina Mountain. I was basically prison for juveniles. So that's where I got my diploma from.
Hey, but you graduated, bro. Thank God. Thank God you graduated,
Yeah, for sure.
And so after you, during the high school stuff, you were already dabbling, right? Were you smoking weed, things like that?
I was smoking weed and drinking, yeah, for sure.
Smoking weed and drinking.
I probably started when I was like 12, 13, smoking weed, and we were drinking hard liquor already at that time.
So was that real quick? Was that your gang members that introduced you to that stuff, or how'd you get involved?
Believe it or not, bro, like, so when I was 11 or 12, like, I was big into sports, and there was a part of a section in town, on the south side by Sunnyside High School, where I had to cross to go to like basketball, football practice, whatever, and I would have to cross through areas where gangs were hanging out, and they thought it was funny, and they thought, well, we're gonna force this kid to do drugs, we're gonna force him to drink and make him do some stuff. So like, and I remember the commercials back in the Dare. Just say no to drugs, man. I remember how it used to piss me off because, dude, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't have that choice, dude. Like, they forced me to smoke weed, they forced me to drink. And I remember I was like 13 years old the first time they forced me to smoke crack, and I didn't want to do it. And
13?
Like, yeah, bro. And they're like, you don't do it, we're gonna. And I remember I got busted in my mouth. They hit, but in reality, they're all just playing a joke amongst them. They're like, hey, watch us make these little kids smoke crack and see what they do.
They need to do a movie about you, man.
Bro, and it's crazy. Hey, it's crazy you say that, bro, because like Isaiah Blancas, he's a traveling minister, and he was talking about they're doing Pure Flicks, doing little shows about people's lifestyles, and there's people that are telling me about that too. That because I'm actually writing a book about my life. To be honest.
Good. Awesome.
And I started a few years ago, and then I put it down. I started in I want to say 2016, and I got most of it done, but I never finished the end because I saved it to the end to where like I wanted to be in a place where I knew for sure that my life was changed, and I'll never have to worry about compromising it. And later on, people reading my book like, it's a good boy, but he's back out there now, right?
Oh man,
I didn't write my book. I got clean.
I don't
myself.
want no one to ever say that. So man, if
you're being smart, bro,
and I don't know if I have time, right? Tell you my life story, bro. You can make a movie about my life, man, for sure.
Well, we're getting into it, bro. I'm sitting here thinking about just the very beginning of what you said of these boys or these kids that are forcing a young child to smoke something like that. Like, to me, that's just pure evil. You know what I mean? The fact that's the devil right there, influencing and it's so sad, and I could only, and please, dude, correct me if I'm wrong, but I could only imagine with the void of your father not being there too, there was probably like a disparity of needing to find like male influences. You know what I'm saying? Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, for sure. And then it was crazy to top it off. Like one of those kids that forced me to do that. Years later, we ended up, being really good friends.
Really?
Because of crazy circumstances, and we weren't part of the same neighborhood. And now that I've gone through what I've gone through and going through this lifestyle, going in and out of prison, you kind of start thinking like a psychologist and start learning the brain patterns and the thinking patterns of people and where they came from and all that. I mean, like, I'm totally like real intellect when it comes to that stuff. And like he himself, that boy, he had abusive family and they mistreated him. So he himself wasn't thinking right, and a lot of people that are, like you say, evil thinking right, and it's because their backgrounds, where they came from, and whatever they were doing that makes them behave like that or make them think evil like that, because in their own life they have a destructive upbringing or abusive lifestyle or whatever the case may be. But it has an effect on people.
It does. Man. Yes, it does.
Man, that's 100% true. We've talked about that a lot. Generational curses.
Yep.
They are just that. They're passed on through generations. I mean, this person was traumatized. Of course, bringing other people into that darkness as well. It's just like it attracts. It's ugly. So, were you instantly addicted to it at that point? Did you stay away from it?
I didn't like it at all, bro. I didn't like it one bit. The weed thing later on, it was my thing for a long time. And I didn't get into the hard drugs until I was like in my mid 30s.
Yeah.
My addiction was more money.
Yeah.
I started selling drugs at 13. I was selling crack and weed and cocaine at 13. And that was more of my addiction. And even back there in the 90s, robberies were a real big thing, man. And I got into the home invasions and all that, bro. It was
Really?
yeah.
Thanks for saying that, because there's a scripture that says the love of money is the root of all kinds
Yeah.
of evil. So that's exactly where you end up going as a kid.
Yeah.
Remind me of me.
Yeah, man. And thank you for bringing those scripture every time. I like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's for sure. That just validates it more, you know?
Yeah, everything coming out of your mouth is validated, brother.
It's so important. And I'm listening to your story so far, and I just think of my son, for example, a young man. Like if something was to happen to me and he didn't have a father figure or something, like to imagine things like that being in his life, like the devil just taking in, like my heart goes out to you, bro, that you even had to experience a lot of that stuff, man, because it's stuff that no child should ever have to ever deal with. You know what I'm saying? Going back and talking about school and all of these things. Did you ever hold a real job? Were you ever working like a 9 to 5 or anything like that?
There was one summer where I was working at Burger King when I first turned 16, and I had a job maybe 2 other times in my lifetime as a construction and electrician, and nothing ever more than a few months. Yeah, I would always just go back to what I knew best, selling drugs, because it was just, that fast money is addicting and so easy. But it came with a cost, though. It came with a lot of prison sentences, and a lot of friends turned on me and set me up, and women that, that thought liked me were setting me up to get robbed, and almost got myself killed a couple times. And it's just all kinds of crazy stuff, bro. For sure, it was a roller coaster events. So,
ooh. You grew up, pretty rough. How was the relationship with your siblings and your mom? Were you guys pretty distant at this time as you were?
Well, me being the oldest, we had a good relationship. Young. We always had a pretty good relationship. Now that we're all older, it's a little more distant. We grow up and people start, they have their families and all that. And but we were pretty solid as kids. I can at least say that.
Did your siblings know what you were doing behind the scenes back then?
Yeah, I mean, bro, I wasn't doing nothing big or small, so it was near impossible to hide what I was doing. And and I grew up in Desert Shadows, and and anyone that knew me back in those days, that my house was a spot, and I've always had at least 10, 20 people standing outside my house 24/7, drinking, smoking. I was really good with all my neighbors. I would look after all my neighbors. And I had a couple of those that couldn't stand me and understand, my traffic and all that. But I had cars just coming in and out, and my house was like a partial cul-de-sac with like a loop around it. So there's really one way in, and you had to go out the other way. So, and I had it just full of cars all day long, and it was like a party house, man, all day. And one thing about my mom's was a gangster, and she was, she didn't approve of it, but at this point, she could no longer control me, and it paid the bills. So she was a widow. She was mostly a house mom. My dad did leave us a little source of income, but it only went so far. And when the dope game was good, the money was good, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Well, things are getting spent until things aren't good, until things go south.
Man.
And then so.
Whew, man, where do we go from here? You were pretty involved, bro. You were handling your business, doing what you needed to do. I'm curious, was there ever a thought, like, did you ever hear God's voice at that time, ever telling you, like, yo, man, you shouldn't be doing this? Or
yeah, man, I'm gonna be honest, man, I had a couple encounters with God, and a couple and this is what pushed me to want to write a book, because I was in instances where, like, I shouldn't even be here right now. Like, I should be dead. I faced death in the face numerous times, and it was all by the grace of God, bro. Like, straight up.
You had a plan for you.
You cannot walk out what I went through and think that it was luck. It's just impossible. It's just no way.
And with
no way, bro.
And without getting too deep, I'm just curious. Is that something that you can elaborate on, like those situations?
Yeah, well, and the dope game of me also selling dope, and also I was a adrenaline junkie at the same time. So and even at that time, I was known to being a real honest, straight up stand up dude. I wasn't, I didn't do people dusty and all that. But my own people from Mexico, they used to send me, the loads and they used to send me to collect money, and they used to send me to go rob other competitors.
Yeah.
So we would, we were, I think a lot of the rap music had a lot to do with it too. A lot of rap music in those days would talk about, robbing people and all this and that, and we would get off on all that. Tupac, that thug life and all that. So there was a couple instances when, man, we're having gunfire exchanges in houses. I'm taking heavy fire and I'm sending heavy fire in the house, and there was times where I just couldn't move. And I'm sitting on the floor in a living room, and I'm sitting there hearing chunks of drywall just explode off the wall. And I'm looking on, and I'm seeing drywall dust everywhere, and all I can hear is like zip, zoop, 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 zoop. And I'm like returning fire, and I'm thinking in my head, like, I'm not gonna make it out of here. I'm not gonna make it out of here. And dude, there's one instance, I swear, and I went home and I had holes in my shirt from bullet holes, but I didn't get hit. Literally.
Wow.
You know what I mean? You can see the holes and the burns, the holes in my pants, bro. But I didn't get hit. You know what I'm saying? And like,
oh man, I got the chills.
And when you're thinking about that, like, that, like, what's the probability of that happening?
That was the Lord saving you.
That was God. That was all God, bro. That's all God, Yeah. Just, a little instance like that. I also had people come into my home. There was a point in time where I used to hold like big amounts, and they tried to rob me in numerous attempts. And poor mom's been tied up before. Mom's been put in closets, gagged, and they had me in corners before, man. And I'm like returning fire, and they're trying to come into where I'm at, man. And just, bro, how I'm still here, I don't even know, bro. It's just, it's crazy, bro.
Wow. And I mean, I couldn't even imagine having to even try to live a normal life, bro. Walking out of your door, not looking over your shoulder every second, not feeling that constant sense of anxiety and stress that something's gonna pop off or something's gonna happen to either one of your siblings or your mom or something. So how long did that continue? Like, how long did you live that life until, you started getting into like the harder things? Like when...
So selling dope on a smaller level, lasted throughout my teenage years. Once I reached like 16, 17, cocaine was a real big thing that I used to sell a lot of. Caught a federal case when I was 18. And I went to 6 years in the federal penitentiary. And, and being in the feds, you tend to meet a lot of big time people. And that was the case with me. I ran into some really huge players out here. And so when I got out, and not to mention that, I got a relationship with God in there, and I had a little encounter with him in there where he like tried to get my attention at that time.
Oh, really?
And even then when I got out, I was like catapulted into the drug game because of the associations that I knew. So I ended up like, putting it on back on the shelf on hold, and it was just a type of money that it was just hard to say no to. And that's when I really started getting into all this like real violent, dangerous stuff, because now you're dealing with like high level amounts that people really want to come and kill you for, and we're, taking trips to the East Coast, Chicago, New York, Atlanta, all that. Where basically I was involved in the cartel from that point on. And that's how I got involved with all this, man, that I was, working, I was working with this guy that he had 7 uncles, and each uncle was working for like a different sector of the mafia. So we were like working with, and some of them were even rivals where I wasn't even supposed to be working with, but still because, I'm over here and I'm doing all the exchange and doing all the dirty work for them, I was kind of playing with fire, what I'm saying? You're not supposed to be like working with one and then come deal with the other.
Yeah.
But, I did it anyways. And so many people trusted me because I guess, I won't say it's a good way, but to them it was good. They could find someone they can trust and trust them with that kind of stuff. And I'll come back and return with the money. But it came with a lot of, I can't even recall the countless nights of you not being able to sleep, always looking out through your blinds, surveillance systems up, staring at the cameras all night, or hearing a little thing, you're waking up, man. It's not a comfortable lifestyle, you know.
God, I bet.
Did you witness anybody getting killed back then?
Oh yeah, bro. During the 6 Ave days, I had 2 of my friends get shot. One of my friends got shot in the head. He died in my arms during it was a drug rival confrontation on 12th Avenue. I had other people get shot and killed. I mean, 2 other times. I seen death, you know, a couple times personally. Also through suicide or just violence.
Yeah.
Whether if it was over money or gangs, you know, I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. So,
Ooh,
yeah.
Bro. And like I said, if there's anything, like if you want me to take out specific, like so I don't mind taking that.
I mean, if I feel, you know, that sometimes people are like, hey, man, like, be careful what you say. But for me, personally, like, I'm one of those hardcore type people. And like sometimes hardcore people want to listen to other people that are hardcore too.
Yeah, I feel you.
You know, because when they feel the full extent, you know, and then they know that because there's I run into people out there that they think there's no turning back for them. They think they're so far gone. There's no way I can come back.
Thank you.
There's
for that,
no,
man.
you know, there's really people out there that think, man, I've done so much atrocities and got myself so deep in the game that there's no coming back, or even I believe the saying even puts the lie in their head, like, oh, well, how can a loving God even love me if I did this, I did that, which is a total lie.
Can I prove real quick what you just now said is biblical? Because the one that wrote half of the New Testament Bible, guess what he used to do? And he talked about it in the Bible.
Yeah, Paul. Yeah.
He persecuted Christians and killed Christians.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
that's why I always tell everybody, why did he share his testimony if I'm not supposed to share my testimony? So that's the only reason why I do is because what I read that he talked about.
So yeah, and I'm putting that stuff in my book, and you know there are stuff that you know that I did that I still question whether if I should put it in my book, you know. But I done some atrocities at my own hands to people, you know, and to be honest, I should be in prison right now for life, you know, for some of the things I did, and I've not there, you know. God had a plan for all that. Till this day, I still look at like, man, I can't believe I'm here. I'm doing what I'm doing.
I don't know if you remember that part of my testimony, but I had to go on the Oprah Winfrey show to speak to 9 million people because I actually tried to kill my wife one time, and she allowed me to come on her show to apologize to my ex-wife that I tried to kill her.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
yeah, dude. I mean, it's crazy to think. For one, it's a miracle that we're sitting here having this conversation, bro. And like, I'm extremely proud of you. You know,
him too.
I'm sitting here thinking, you know, that lifestyle. And once again, if I say something that's not accurate, you know, let me know. But I'm wondering, do you feel maybe it became so difficult to have to uphold that type of a position, to be that type of a dude, dealing with these type of people, experiencing all of this pain, all of this loss, all of these ugly, evil things that were around you, right? Do you feel like it was a lot, and that's the reason why you got into the harder things, was to try and cover up that type of a pain that you were feeling on the inside from all of those types of things?
I think, you know, back in those days, they say, you know, smoking weed and alcohol, they're gateway drugs, you know that. And I used to not think it, but I kind of more so believe it now. But I used to be really against like the hard drugs and all that. Cocaine was probably like the hardest thing that I had done up until like I was like 32, 33.
Yeah.
Drinking, you know, and just, you know, I would get real drunk at partying. Just cocaine was like the thing, and smoke weed. I love to smoke weed. But I believe it was my second, third time in prison. And it was just flooded in there, and all there was to do, you know, you're stuck in a cell all day. And I happen to have a roommate, you know, that had a lot of it. And I was like, you know what? The circumstances was, you know, the girl that I had at the time, you know, she, you know, and it happens, you know, you lose them, they take off or they go missing and you're like heartbroken in there and no one's riding, you know that. So I was very vulnerable to be like, you know, let's try this. And I tried opiates for the first time. And I hate to say I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was like an instant pain reliever, you know, and a lot of people do drugs, you know, for that instance, but they don't realize that later on it actually causes more problems and makes your problems even worse, though it might provide a temporary solution, right? But when it's gone, it gets worse. You know what I mean? And depending the drugs and the combination of drugs that you're doing, especially if you're like doing opiates and meth and this, and you like start mixing them, you know, and you have all these problems in your mind, and you have all these anxieties and stresses and depression. You know what I'm saying? And it's all linked. Now that I know what I know now I know that it's linked to a spiritual war, a spiritual attack.
Yeah.
And the more the deeper you get into drug usage and all that, right? And the different sins that you're committing, right? You opening yourself up to spiritual attack.
Oh,
right?
man.
And when you open yourself up to these different spirits, right? Your situation becomes deeper and darker and darker. And now I'm proud to say I'm also an evangelist, right? And I've done exorcism, and I've been present to real life exorcism, right? And they're not like technically like the ones you see in the movies, like people's heads spinning and all that, you know?
Yeah.
But I have had chances to actually speak to spirits as they come out, right? And one instance when we had a person that they had like 30 some spirits in them. And I remember I told the spirits to announce themselves as they came out, right? Because when you walk in authority, you can tell the spirits to do practically whatever and ask them any questions you want, and they have to tell you. They have to tell you. So as they were coming out, and I remember, and I told them, remember, in Jesus' name, step out and announce yourself. And they all started coming out, and it started like anger, anxiety, depression, suicide, homosexuality, and all kind. You know, all these spirits started, and the spirits, the name of the spirits was attached to whatever symptoms they were causing you. So if it was anger or it was depression, the spirit was called depression. The spirit was called, and then it opened my eyes, and it made me realize, you know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, like, you know, everything attached, all these names are like scientific names people have, like, you know, they have like all these syndromes and depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar, and all that stuff. They have all these scientific names, but in reality, all there are is just spirits, man. They're spirits linked to all these things, and because we open ourselves up to all these things and willingly do things, we willingly invite these spirits in, and over time they start stacking and building up within your soul, and they attach yourselves to them. And there's a thing that's called a stronghold, and a stronghold is when so many of these spirits start stacking up, right? You no longer have control of your life. And, you know, and I can prove this, and anyone listening on this podcast right now, just take a look around the city right now. Have you noticed all these people walking around talking to themselves? They're out there in the corners arguing with themselves, talking to themselves. 10 years ago, you would never see this. Now it's like a common thing.
By the way, I see it almost every day.
Yeah.
Man,
and just a few years ago, you never saw that. But because the drugs are getting so serious, and it's stuff like this fentanyl now, and this meth, and the stuff they're putting in this stuff is so wicked, that the powers behind these spirits are getting so great that it's just taking everybody to a darker place that no one has ever even seen or witnessed. And it's spilling out into reality now. You can, everywhere I go, man, there's people just talking, arguing with themselves. Now, this is a new one that I've gone see in the last 2 years, real big. Everybody walks around hunchback. They walk like this.
Yeah.
You see how they walk like that?
Brother, you just remind me of.
That's nuts, bro.
Yeah.
I was recording a whole bunch of these people doing this stuff, but I didn't want to post it because I don't want people to see what I was watching on the streets out there. So thanks for reminding me of what I ended up having to delete. I didn't post it though. But I was recording a whole bunch of people doing the very thing that you said.
You can always blur their faces out, you know, out of respect, you know, but it's good.
Maybe I should do that part.
So people can still see, you know,
what's happening
like,
out there. Okay.
They need to know. They need to know what they're fighting is an unseen force.
Yeah.
And they don't understand. They don't understand. And a lot of people
against the spirits, the Bible says.
And because they don't understand that's an unseen force, right? They start believing that they can never change, right? And because they believe that, they lose hope. And because they lose hope, right, they never attempt to fix themselves.
I want to get back to your testimony, but just to kind of go off topic a little bit, because I'm curious to know what you guys think of this, man. And I want to get this gentleman in here. I'm sure you've seen some of his videos online, the Tales from the Streets.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Is he from Phoenix or something?
He's from Phoenix.
Yeah.
And if anybody knows him, anyone out there, please have him get in contact with me. I would love to get him here on the show just to talk, you know, that's what it's all about. And I mean, and it's weird because he starts off the show, Vance, and he shows them in their addiction. He shows them what they look like when they're using. Like you can see them hunched over. And then he has an interview with them and they talk about the trauma, where they've been. So I had a very weird situation happen on Monday where I looked at our roster here and I noticed one of the people was here. And I knew the person before they had left. And then I saw that video and so intelligent the way that they spoke. And it's incredible because you see these people going through these things and you don't, sometimes you can see the pain, you know what I mean, in them. And during this interview, I saw that pain and I went up to this person today and I said, hey, what's up? You remember me, they remembered me. And I had told the person like, hey, I saw this video about you. Have you seen it? And the person said, yeah, they had sent it to my mom. Oh, wow. They had sent it to my family or whatever. And I talked to this person and I told them, I said, man, seeing that video broke my heart because I don't know what it is. There's certain clients that we've had over the years, like yourself, bro, that they like stick in my heart. I'll always remember them for whatever it is, either their spirit, their energy. And I told the person, I said, man, I hope and pray that I never see you on that again. And I hope and pray that when you're ready, that you do watch it, because I think you need to see what it looks like to be on that side. Like this person said that they had never seen it. They hadn't heard about it, or, they'd sent it to their mother, but they had not seen it themselves. And it looked like they were talking to a ghost, bro, when I told them that. But it made me feel like we have to reach out. I mean, for one, I can't, I'm sure it hurt the person's feelings that someone else had even seen it from a different city, that, you know what I mean? It's online and people are watching
he doesn't even know.
But at the same time, it's like, dude, like, no, you need to realize like what this is doing to you, bro. Like you look silly on that video, man, like out there and you're hunched over and you're going through all of this. And I don't know. It's ever since COVID, I feel like it's gotten way worse with the fentanyl.
Was he still in his addiction at that time, or was he already cleaned up? Or
in the video?
No, well, in the video I know he was, but when you were talking to him, was he still in the middle of his...
No. The person, either he or she, I don't want to be too specific, but they are sober now because cool. they're here in treatment. You know what I mean? So I'm able to talk to a clear person now. Yeah. But still, it's just like there's this feeling of just like this, just wanting to bring them back, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you understand how it is when you're living in the darkness. You're recruiting people into the darkness, and when you're living in light, it's our job to recruit people into the light. Yeah, exactly. And it's just, I don't know. Just wanted to bring that up, just because it was a very significant thing for me today to see that. Yeah. But yeah, that dude goes out there and talks to people in the streets in the addiction. We talk to them when they're in recovery. He's talking to them when they're in the middle of their addiction. So it's like he's talking to those spirits. Yeah. So dang, I mean, dude, your testimony is powerful, bro. You've got a very authoritative spirit that you hold. You know what I'm saying? I can see that. Sure. And you remind me a lot of my Uncle Ray. And please take that as the highest compliment. You told
that before.
To take that as the highest compliment, because I do feel that traviesos that are really stubborn, bro, like you were back in the day, they don't want to hear anything from me. They don't want to hear anything from Vance, because it's like, bro, what have you been through? What have you experienced? In comparison, somebody like yourself, I can't tell you the amount of times I've had clients be like, homie, you don't even know what it's like being locked up or whatever. Somebody like you who's changed their life could reach them and be like, hey, homie, you don't know what it's like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I had that conversation with people before, where they come out, and before they even finish what they're saying, I'm finishing their sentence for them.
That's you know crazy, what I'm saying, dog.
So, and when I hit them with stuff like that, they're like, bro, it hits them every time. Like, bro, like, it's and plus, I believe that God's giving me a gift to where, like, like I told you the other day, like I run a sober living home, and I get to talk to some of my guys, and just by sometimes we're talking to new guys just for the first time, just for a little bit, I get a discernment already of where they're coming from and what they've gone through in life, to make them, to put them in the state of mind they're in now and the position they're in, Yeah. Where if they came from a broken home, a home where there's alcoholism, drug use, physical, verbal abuse, or they're just, their parents are missing just completely or something. But there's 9 out of 10 times, it's always something there, Yeah. It's usually it's the missing parents, or the parents just weren't right. Yeah. And every once in a while, I have people actually had their parents, but they just grew up, reckless. Whether maybe the household there's no discipline.
Yeah.
That's another one too. Because like my mom, I had a great mom. Like she wasn't really good with discipline. She was kind of verbally abusive and physical abusive. Because coming from a old fashioned Hispanic family, real Hispanic families, they believe in whooping their kids.
Yep.
And I can't say my mom never drank, never did drugs, never. She was a real good mom, and I'm super blessed for that. But the fact that I just I didn't take lightly to authority. I wanted to do my own thing, and I got attracted to that fast life, and for sure that rap music had a lot to do with it. And like you said, you grew up in the era of hip hop, and you're seeing guys with these big old chains and rapping and riding around the lowriders, and it makes it attracting, right? To you want to be like them, and that's actually the purpose of them doing that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Purpose, yep.
And they strategically, the music industry is strategically doing that. And you notice now how now the agenda is to push this transgender and all this gay and satanic stuff. Now they're out in the open with it. Everything you see on videos now, man, it's all about demons and all that.
Yeah.
What's that one chick, Doja Cat?
Yeah.
At the new man, it's super demonic, bro. The
Yep.
videos they're coming out with, bro. And it's just, they're not hiding it no more.
Yeah.
They're out in the open with it. They made it cool.
Yeah.
And even the Bible says, saying that woe to you that make evil look good and good look evil.
Right.
And that's exactly
That's
the
where
times
we're
we're
at these
living in.
days. That's
And
the times
that
we're living in. That's right.
you do something good and they persecute you for it.
They call it evil.
They
Right.
call it evil, and they make evil look good. They try to make it look good. So, man, the Bible says it'll be like the days of Noah or the days of Lot when he returns, man. This is exactly the direction that we're going to.
We're
right
heading
now.
there, aren't we?
Yeah, we're right there, man. We're at the
we are.
doorsteps.
Man, it's so
For sure.
scary. It's so scary.
I appreciate this real quick. I want to say this to you because everything that's coming out of your mouth is biblical. Because you know what the Bible says that what the enemy meant for evil, God is going to work out for good. So everything you had to go
Amen,
through was
yeah.
all for a purpose. Because
Yeah,
now He's
for
using
sure.
you.
Yeah.
God is using you in a
Sure,
mighty
man.
way.
Yeah.
Fast forwarding a little bit, through the addiction, you said, once you were in prison for the third time is when you started using opiates. And,
Yeah.
how long did that continue until you decided that you were ready? Like, you know what I mean? Can you take us down that?
I want to say a little under 10 years, bro. I was in 8-9 years, 8 for sure, 8-9 years, bro, more or less. That I was start off with popping pills. It was the Percocets.
Yeah.
Percocets and Xannies were my thing. I was sniffing them, and then from there we started smoking them. It was like 2011, 12. We were smoking them, and I remember I went back to prison to kill my number because I was on parole, and I had to do 6 more months, and I came out. And the girl that I was with, God rest her soul, rest in peace. She passed away last year. She started shooting up. And when I got out, man, I was just like shocked. Everyone went from just those 6 months I was gone. It was like someone switched. And everyone from smoking, all of a sudden, everyone's slamming now.
Wow.
And I was like, and I was telling myself, man, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to do that, man. And it's crazy, man. And I ended up doing it. Because my ex-girlfriend was doing it, and one day I got pissed because I kept catching her with syringes and all that. And I remember I even caught a domestic violence, man. And I'm so sorry that I ended up putting hands on her, and out of love, though, you know what I mean? Because I loved her so much, and I didn't want her doing that. And one day I was just pissed. I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna do it too. And she was like, nah, don't, like, and I wanted, in my mind, like I was getting back at her, but at the same time, I kind of had like a dark thing that controlled me that made me want to get deeper into my addiction anyways, you know what I mean? So I kind of, I got to a vulnerable place where I was willing to justify me doing something that I told myself I was never going to do,
Man.
I was shooting up for like 2-3 years, man, up until 2019. Is when I first went into a men's recovery home, and it was a discipleship too for Victory Outreach. And I had got out, thought I was strong. I was doing super good for a couple months. It was right before COVID, and then I relapsed again, and that's when I had to see you.
Is that when we
That's
saw
when
each
I
other?
saw you. I just came back, and it was, and I noticed the change in me already because even though I had felt an addiction again, I was only in it for like 2-3 weeks.
Okay, after we saw each other.
I was only like getting high for like 2-3 weeks, and I said, nah, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, and those wheels were turning already. I could see, you know.
So I came back in here, and yeah, man, it was the last time I ever had to come to a rehab again, bro.
In fact, I was going to ask you, so when was it and what year was it that you repented from all those sins?
Yeah, it was 2020, man.
2020. Praise God. Can we get a...
Yeah, right here, bro.
For that.
For you. Yeah.
So,
hey, I noticed, you know, through everything that you had gone through, being raised, you know, in an old school, like Mexican household kind of thing, you know, I noticed that you said you had those experiences, like kind of like godly experiences, like with the bullet holes. But did you have faith back then? Like, did you believe there was something better?
I mean, when my mom used to force me to go to church as a kid, it was crazy. And you can, you know, anyone that knows, like, usually the kids that are most messed up are the ones that were brought to God at an early age. Like, you see pastors' kids, a lot of times pastors' kids are far out there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, and even some of my pastor's kids, they're out there and they're just lost. And usually they're the ones that make the greatest comebacks in the end, you know. But yeah, I always believed in God. I had faith, you know, but it was just like I was just caught up in life, man. And I always would talk about it, though. I'd always could talk about it. You know what's crazy? One of my addictions were when I started doing meth and opiates together, I would tweak on reading my Bible. I remember I would actually read my Bible high, and I would listen to sermons, and it was crazy. And people used to trip out that I used to do that, man. I always knew that. I was like, you know what, all this is, and I used to study so much, and this is why I was so educated in the Word and Bible history and all kinds of stuff that I'm like, you know, theology. I'm a theologian for Bible research and history. It all was in the middle of my addiction, man, that I gained a lot of this knowledge, and now I'm putting it to use, and I'm able to teach, and I do Bible studies now, and I'm able to teach at a higher level, not just with scriptures, but with using history and real world accounts to prove things
biblically.
You know, yeah.
You know what's nuts is how you said, you know, and I 100% agree. How when you are using substances, you're opening up portals, right?
Yeah.
And the more substances you use, that portal's getting bigger and bigger. The bigger the portal is, the more can come in. I wonder if that was a way that the Lord kept you close, was by making that tweak in your brain to make you want to read that scripture, to keep that hole from opening up wider than it needed to.
Man,
you know what I'm saying?
I always wonder something about that, man. It was just weird. And
yeah, because that's so opposite. You know what I mean? Where were you, dude? Like, what was the situation when you finally listened to God's voice? Like when you finally started making that decision to change your life?
Well, I mean, I was 2019, I already was at the end of my rope. I got so far in my addiction that my old connects, my mafia affiliated friends they all cut me off. Even though I never did them wrong or nothing, they felt that I was a liability to them to have me around in addiction. I had real good contacts of guys that just had a lot of love, people that were just like, do anything for me, give me cars, give me whatever, you know. And they were just so disappointed, man, that I just flew off the rails. And I ended up just basically selling drugs just to keep up with my addiction. It was no longer about having money and having nice things, nice cars, nice houses. Now it was about just keeping a roof over my head, keeping enough dope to not only supply me, but the girl that I was with and some of my friends that I always kept around, because I always kept a group of people around me. A lot of them just hung around because they knew I would get them high and stuff. But it was just a place where just like, you know, there's just not a lot of I don't know how to explain it. It's like you basically, you know what, you put yourself in a prison cell, right? Because addiction is it's a spiritual prison cell, and even though you might not physically be behind bars, but your addiction puts you in a jail cell where, like, you know, you're doing the same thing every day.
Yep.
Same exact thing, right? And if you don't have the drug or whatever, right, and you're going to get sick, especially with like opiates and stuff, right? You're going to go out and do whatever you need to do and get it. Yeah. And for me, the last straw in 2018, I had got my baby's mom pregnant and she didn't tell me. And I remember when she did tell me, she was like maybe 2 months pregnant, right? And I I remember I just found out like a couple days, man, and we had gotten a big old fight, and I jumped in my car and I took off, and I had a lot of heroin on me, man, and I didn't have my license, and I got pulled over, and I tried to run, bro, and bro, I was so shot out.
Wow.
I was so shot out, bro. I was so out of shape, bro. I didn't even make it, not even a quarter of the around the block, bro, and they caught me, bro. I couldn't run. I was winded, and I was just like, man, they caught me, man. I thought it was dope, and I ended up managing to be able to get bonded out, and man, I was facing. This is another part of my testimony, man, is where God really showed up for me, man. But I was because of my extensive criminal history. My first plea was 10 to 20 years. Dude, I stayed like that for like a year, and then finally they came with another plea, and the next plea, and they're like, "This is the best we can do." It was 8 to 16 years.
Wow.
And dude, like at this point, I had made up my mind. I have a son coming. It's my first son, and I had no kid up until this point. I had no kids, right? So it was a really big thing, not just for me, but for my family, because I'm the oldest, and like, you know, my little brothers had kids before I did, you know, and so I was like, man, I gotta stop, man, and that's when I went into that men's home. And from there on, it was crazy, bro, because it was a faith-based, it was all biblical men's home. And I had this sense of peace in there, even though that I was facing all this time. God kept telling me, I got you. Don't worry, I got you. And dude, and even though everybody was like, yeah, he's done. He's done, man. He's going back to prison, this and that. And there was like no hope. And it was crazy. My faith was crazy, bro. Like I kept telling him, I'm not going to prison. I was like, I'm not. I was like, there's no way God brought me this far. And at that time, I was already like 7-8 months in that home, and I was already like doing all these outreaches. I was doing community service. I was volunteering at all these places, helping homeless, helping feed homeless. I was working with troubled teens, doing all kinds of stuff, bro. Like out of just something in me wanted to give back. You know, I felt like I felt like I robbed people of a lot because I was out there selling drugs and pushing all these drugs out there for so long. It was like it felt good to do some good, you know, in the community better than just evil.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, there's no way that I'm doing all this now. I was like, man, he ain't gonna send me to prison. He's not gonna send me to prison. Sure enough, my court case dragged out 2 years, man. And we're already starting to go through trial, right? And my lawyer didn't want to go to trial. My lawyer's like, and let me just clarify this. This is my third lawyer that I got, right? Third lawyer that I got. And my lawyer's like, man, this is the best we're going to do. I was like, maybe I get you like 8 years and you do like 5 or 6. And then I was like, no, I'm not signing. And I'm not signing. And then and they thought I was crazy. And then the week that I was going to trial, man, my prosecutor withdrew from my case. And she said that she didn't want nothing to do with my case, and she withdrew from it. And I got a new prosecutor, and then COVID hit. And COVID hit, and their case totals were so crazy. They came to me, he's like, okay, what do you want to sign? And I told him I want probation. I was like, I don't want to go to prison. And so they ended up giving me 7 years IPS and 1 year in jail. So I did the 1 year in jail in 21, got out last year in May 22.
Dang.
I'm about to get off IPS. I'm killing my whole thing this December.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's man, that was all God right there, bro.
And you literally did what the Bible talks about, repentance, because in the Greek, the original writing, repentance means a change of mind. Because everything I'm listening coming out of your mouth, you know what you did? You had a change of mind on the things you used to do.
Yeah, bro.
Yep.
You got
everything you talk about, man. You can tell your whole mind changed, and now you just do God's will.
Yeah, man. And anyone out there listening, man, bro, like, man, doing God's work, man, it's so fulfilling, bro. It's so much like I can't say, man, I wake up every day with a smile on my face, bro. And I can't say that I don't go through struggles in life and I don't have, you know.
We all do. We were just talking about that before the episode started.
Yeah.
You know, and I learned to trust God, man, and all my circumstances, whether good or bad, you know, because even sometimes a bad situation, man, can end up being a good thing later on, man.
It's biblical.
And even though at the time it might not seem that, and it's like damn near impossible to see the goodness of a certain situation, But I promise you, man, when like with God, all things are possible, and later on, you're gonna see, man, and be like, man, it really was something good that came out of it.
Whew. You know, I'm curious. I've never asked this question before, never. But because of the authoritative spirit that you have, I can just tell you're a leader, bro. I see it in
Thank you.
Going through what you went through, right? Being this leader, and then getting to that point in your addiction where you felt like you were just, like you said, you were just using and getting money at this time to keep up with your addiction, right? Now that you've changed and you know that God has taken a hold of your spirit, has there ever been a circumstance where you were out doing this outreach and you saw somebody who, maybe somebody that you respected back then, that had completely like seen you and been like, bro, Hector, is that you? Like, is there an experience? Because I'm so curious.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, a lot, man. And dude, I get this a lot right here when people are in prison, because I write a lot of people in prison. And I have friends and people I know that are doing stretches in there, and they hear all everything that I'm doing out here. And even when I do outreaches, I run into people that are out there that I've gone right into people that they're somebody at one point in time, and now they're out there homeless now, bro, which is like a total shocker, right?
Wow.
To see somebody that used to have like cars and houses and women, and now they're out there living in tents in the desert, right? It's crazy. And they see me, bro, and they had already heard about me, but once they actually see me, and they're like, bro, it's true. And the first thing here, and I got heard this so many times, bro, if you can do it, I can do it.
Amen.
Bro, and when I hear that, bro, it validates what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, that's exactly what I'm trying to, the message that I believe that God's using, like, for someone as far gone as I was. And people always like, man, bro, if you can do it, I know I can do it, bro. I know I can, bro. And joking around, but like, what are you trying to say, bro? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's funny.
Trying to say I was super messed up, bro. I was like, nah, yeah, I was,
So, I mean, the last question that I want to ask you, dude, is just like exactly that. Like, what advice could you give somebody, especially somebody that has been on your level as far as the things that they've experienced, that might feel like there's no faith, that there's no hope, they're never going to get out of it? Is there something you can say to them to give them hope?
Man, I point everyone to God, man. Jesus, man. That's
wow.
I stand on that, bro.
That's what I do.
I stand on that, bro. It's like, and and I talk to my friends, a lot, because usually, when you're like in jail is when you tend to kind of reach out to God, because when we're in, even an unbeliever, right, all of a sudden turns into a believer in a time of danger and need. You know what I mean? You get someone that's an atheist, guarantee you, if he's watching his life flash before his eyes and he's about to die, he's going to cry out to God, even when he doesn't even believe one exists.
We're called to snatch him out of the fire, man.
It's crazy.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Right? And because of that, sometimes God does use certain circumstances like that to call you, right? But a lot of people don't take it serious and take it to a deeper, intimate relationship, bro. And it's just more. I'm talking about more than just going and sit down in a church on a Sunday, right? For me, this is like every day, man. Where like you're praying every day, man. You're
that's
always
biblical. What he's saying,
picking up your Bible
every
bro,
day,
and like, bro. I mean, I go to church on Sundays, Wednesdays sometimes, and I got Bible study on Tuesdays. I got group on Thursdays, and then on the weekend sometimes. I try not to overload myself too much, but I'll do volunteer work. But I'm doing something almost every day, bro.
That's awesome.
And
that
like,
is awesome.
And once you get finally get a deep understanding of God and who He is and how He thinks, right? Because in Romans and the Bible talks about how the Word and the Spirit starts renewing your mind, right?
Yes.
And you start developing the mind of God, right? And you start developing how you start knowing how He thinks and what He expects from you, right? And as soon as you get down those deeper levels, man, things start to really change, man, because you see your circumstances on a whole different level, man. And once your faith builds up, bro, it's man, that just changes everything, bro. For sure, it changes everything. And there's just so many people out there, and even people that come into my program in the house, I try to get them to develop a relationship with God. And I'll give you one good example, right? Like, I got a homie right now, and that I've been trying to get at, and I won't say his name, but he has his own little business, but he's been struggling, right? And he used to be addicted to it. Now he's like on Suboxone and stuff, right? And I tell him, like, bro, come to church, man. Come to a group. He's like, bro, I can't right now, bro. I got too many problems. I got work. I was like, bro, man, you sound dumb right now, bro. I was like, bro, instead of running to God when you have problems, bro, people run away. Instead of, and a lot of people be like, oh, I'm not ready right now. When I'm ready, I'll come, and that's like somebody be like, man, I need to go to the gym. Well, I'm going to wait till I get healthy and strong, and then I'll go to the gym.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't work that way, man. And people think the way they think, and they're like, man, well, I'm going to wait till this circumstances changes or this gets better, and then I'm going to come to church, bro. When it's the total opposite, bro.
Totally opposite.
Come when your life is the most reckless and most messed up. That's when you're supposed to come.
Amen.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And thanks for giving credit to Jesus Christ, brother. I appreciate
Scripture
that.
says, you know what I mean, that he's close to the brokenhearted. You know what I mean? That he's close, that he wants people where you're at your most vulnerable, most broken point, and that's when he's going to come. You know what I'm saying? And I'll add this too before we get off. So the day that I went into that recovery program, right? Now I remember I was at my brother's apartment, bro, and I had gotten into it with him, and he was trying to kick me out and stuff. And my brother was in his addiction too. He was just selling stuff. And I remember I had that case. I had my son coming, my baby's mom. She had caught a case too, and thank God she had got herself cleaned up. So she didn't want me around her at that time. And I was sitting in his apartment, and I was like looking at all my little videos and studies and all that, bro. And I remember I got into a dark place where I was like thinking suicidal, like, man, dude, like, I just want to kill myself. And just knowing the past, like I have tried to commit suicide, and just get that clarified. But at this moment, I was thinking, like, got a kid, man, I just don't want to be here no more. I'm looking at all this time. And bro, in my despair, I was super broken, bro. I was super depressed. And I remember it was like 2, 3 in the morning, bro, and I cried out to God, bro, like wholeheartedly.
Wow.
And I remember I was crying with tears coming down my eyes, bro. And everyone was asleep in the other room. I was in the living room just pouring my tears coming down, bro. And I'm like begging God, like, please, though, like take me out. I'll do anything. Like, please just help me. I got a son on the way. I got all this time I'm facing. Like, I was like, please, like, if you just give me a chance, you open the door. I was like, I promise I'll go through that, whatever door you open, I'll go through it and I'll never look back. And it was crazy. And then the next morning, it was like 9, 10 in the morning. I get a phone call, and it was from one of my homies that we used to, sell dope together. He had gotten saved 6 months before that. And he called me and he told me, hey, bro, he's like, hey, you want to get some help, bro? I found this program, bro, that our church is doing, bro. I'll get you help right now, bro. Like, if you're, and then the first thing I thought was my prayer, just that
Lord answered your
night
prayer.
Before that.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, bro, let's do it.
Yeah, wow.
He came, bro. He came, picked me up, bro. And that's when my whole life changed, bro. And I went to that program, bro. But it was like a immediate, like, he answered my prayer, bro.
Lord answered your prayer.
The very next morning, bro, I was like, here you go. You serious? Yeah, I was like, you want me to open the door? Here you go.
Amen.
Go through it. You know what I'm saying? And this program that went, I ain't gonna lie, it was pretty hardcore. Like, the Victory Outreach Men's Home is like military discipleship. Like, you got to wake up at 3, 4 in the morning to pray, and then you're going to work all day, every day, and you're not getting paid, and the money goes to the church.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that people learn is discipline. You learn how to be obedient. You have to learn to take and follow orders and all that. That's one thing that I struggled a lot with, and I was a real handful for them, but it was a blessing, bro, for sure. It was a blessing. I learned a lot, and yeah, it was just life-changing, bro.
Wow. I give God praise for your testimony.
Yeah,
absolutely. Man. I know I said that was the last question. I promise you this is the last one. I promise you. How's the relationship with your mom and stuff now?
My relationship with mom is good, man.
She loves the changes?
She loves the change. My mom's a hard woman to already. She's just a difficult woman, but yeah, she loves the change for sure. She's a lot happier.
That's good.
My brother right now, he's working on himself right now.
Good.
He's slowly making those changes too. So I know she has a big worry off her back that she no longer has to worry about. But yeah, we're good, man. We're good for sure.
That's good, brother. Yeah. Huge blessing.
I just want to say thanks, brother. Your testimony is so powerful. God is using you in a mighty way.
Hey, man, your testimony is powerful, man. For sure. You left the mark on everybody, too, man.
Thank you, brother. God bless
amazing.
you.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I thank you so much, Hector, for coming through, bro. I will continue to keep you in my prayers, man. I'm very happy to Especially knowing, man, hearing the stories and things that you've gone through. I'm so grateful to God that you are where you are today, and I'm blessed that you came and shared your testimony.
I'm glad you had me here, bro. This was fun for sure.
Heck yeah, man. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up. Pick your jaws up first, then give it up. Give a round of applause to our homeboy Hector. Man, you know, this is such a huge blessing. This is awesome, man. I love that. I know I'm going to go home and feel like fulfilled in my soul that we got to come together, because they say we're two or more gather. There he is, you know.
Yes,
thank you, God, for bringing us together.
Amen.
For all of the listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure that you share this with somebody who needs to hear it.
Yes.
You know, if you're interested in coming on the show, please come on, hit us up in the email address. I will hit you up directly. We can get you scheduled ASAP. But, you know, until next time, man, much love. God bless you guys. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And we will see you on the next one. Much love. Thank you again, Vance, and peace. What's going on, everybody? This is Buddha from the Arcast, and I just wanted to thank you for checking out this week's episode. It means a lot, and if you could share it with a friend or a loved one, somebody you need in recovery, or maybe somebody who just needs that little bit of extra positivity in their life, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you would like to join us here on the Arcast, either in the studio live or online, hit us up. The links are down in the show notes of this episode, and on there, you can find direct links to our main website here at Americas Rehab Campus and all of our social media platforms. Follow us. We keep the posts positive and motivational, focused on recovery, health, and wellness. As you know, in this modern day and age, we need as much love as possible, y'all. And as always, if you or somebody you know is in need of substance abuse treatment, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We're open 24 hours a day, and our direct phone number is 1-833-272-7342. Once again, that phone number is 1-833-272-7342. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day. Much love and God bless. Peace.